Hello, welcome back to the SC Classics YouTube channel. Well, beginning of a new week, and got a new customer recommended by my old neighbour and good friend Martin. It's rs2000. The guy's recently bought it. He's had quite a few. Well, he's had a few Mark 2 RSs and Series 1s, 3-door Cosy, and he's recently purchased this slightly modified 1980 Mark 2 RS. And he's brought it with me, brought it down to me. He wants it lowered a little bit. This is the car in question. Sorry about the light outside, it's actually quite bright and sunny for this cold morning. It's a W Reg white Mark 2 rs2000 custom. He wants it lowering slightly. It's already lowered an inch, but it's just sitting a little bit higher than he wants. So we're gonna swap the front springs. It's on 2.8 Bilstein struts on the front, so I've got some 2-inch springs to suit, and on the back it's on inch block, so we're going to swap it over and put 2-inch blocks on the back. Really nice car, brown trim. He's bought this car, it's been fully restored. It looks like they've done a really nice job on it. As I say, slightly modified. It's got a modified pincer in it on, I think it's on 45s. Looks like it's got a cam in it, different exhaust and manifold. It's on copy 7-inch 4 spokes. Just wants to make it a little bit lower, but yeah, generally really nice tidy car. It's a nice restoration. All the panel gaps are nice and straight. Doors shut nice. Black vinyl roof. RS3 spoke, probably one of the nicest steering wheels to put in a Mark 2. Yeah, generally nice car. But I'm going to get it on the ramp. See about the sun glare through there, better. Yeah, nice all round restoration. I'll get it on the ramp and then show you what's involved with changing the springs, lowering blocks on the back. So, got it on the ramp, got front wheels off. Going to start by doing the struts first. It's the harder job, get that out of the way. These are built 2.8 Capri Bilsteins, as you can tell by the little nut on the bottom. But they've been painted black and they put the original decals on that should go on an RS, so it just looks original. It's already got lowering springs, but they're only an inch. He just wants to bring it down a touch further. So the car actually looks quite neat. It's been restored a while ago, it wants a clean, but nice restoration. First job, get this split pin out the trackward end, pop the trackward end off, just makes the strut easier to work on, moves around, you can access the bottom ball joint easier. Again, you see another split pin in the bottom ball joint, get that popped. These aren't like the modern stuff where you can just take the strut off, you've got to take the full strut, hub, everything off in one to change the spring, which is a bit of a pain. There's some locking tabs on the caliper bolts, peen them off, get the caliper bolt off, undo the brake pipe out the strut, and then just I normally hang the strut on the bottom, the caliper on the bottom arm, so you don't have to disconnect all the brakes. Get the strut off and get that spring changed. So let's get cracking. So that's the nut off, split pin out, as you can see, nut off. What I like to use to pop these is this type of ball joint splitter, just because the old fork type, which wedges in here and you hit, normally destroys this gator, which is fine if you're replacing it, but on this car I'm just doing the springs and I don't want to damage that, so I use this type which goes on here. You tighten this bolt up and it pushes the ball joint out. You might need to adjust it, which is a pain to do one-handed, holding a GoPro. Yeah, dropping down. I got this one. This one's a Blue Point one. I got this off Snap-on, but like I think Celium people there do cheaper ones. I just got it convenient. Snap-on coming to the door. You're gonna go. So you have two different locating pegs for bigger and smaller ball joints. That should get it. Yeah, there you go. And then just tighten this bolt up, and all being well, it should pop out and not damage the ball joint. There you go, nice and easy, no damage. The reason I do this part first is because now the strut turns nice and easy, and you can get to the bottom ball joint and all the locking tabs on the caliper and everything else without trying to turn both wheels and the rack and the column and everything. Just makes it a bit easier. I know it's not everyone's way of doing it, but it's just how I do it. Now on to getting the caliper out of the way. I've already undone the securing nut. It just sandwiches brake pipe into that bracket, and then here we've got the two caliper bolts with two locking tabs. Well, one locking tab. You see, it's just pinned over here. Basically what you do is bend them back and then undo the caliper bolts. It just stops the caliper bolts coming loose. I know it's quite obvious, but I'm just you have to assume someone doing this is a complete novice and never done it before. So move forward a little bit. That's the caliper removed off the strut. I've just cable tied it to the bottom arm so it doesn't damage anything, get in the way. I've popped the bottom ball joint using the ball joint splitter again, and then just put a bar off the roll bar into the bottom arm and pried the bottom arm down to get the strut away. On these to use, if you're new to escorts, then you'll find that there shouldn't really be any nylocks anywhere on a Mark II escort. It was always mechanical fixings, either like a self-locking nut which is pinned over at the end, or a locking tab, or a split pin on the bottom arm. Use a castle nut with a split pin through it so it can't come loose. Just because I don't think nylocks, I might be wrong, but I don't think nylocks were invented when these were built, so they was never used. So there shouldn't be any nylocks anywhere. It should be all spring washers or just mechanical locking types, locking devices. Yeah, now it's just, that's basically that strut off. Just undo the 3 bolts on the top mount and get it off the car. So that's one strut off. You can see this is on like a rose jointed alley top mount, which isn't standard. Neither the struts or the springs. It's also on 2/8 vented discs, which would have been on a Capri because the escort should have had solids. Yeah, that's the strut off. See, just the 3 M8 top mount bolts. It's out the way. I can get it in the spring compressor now. Swap the spring over, get it refitted. Pretty straightforward, about half an hour. Take one strut off. As you can see, slightly modified, nice RS cam cover. Peg vernier, 40s or 45s. What are we? 45s. So a nice spec pincer in it. Sorry if this can't see much because of the glare. We've actually got some sun today. It's unusual. Got an original bulkhead on it. Makes a change from the fiberglass ones. He's got a catch can, which he admitted he's never used one before, and noticed that it was empty and thought it needed topping up. So he filled it. So now it's overflowing. So I've got to drain that and clean off some of the oil, which has spilt out. Well, the dipstick wasn't seated proper as well, so it's blew a little bit out of there. Probably just from having too much oil. So I'll have to get that cleaned up and check it all over. And drain the catch tank. Yep. Going back to Ford's good old mechanical locking system. You can see there the top mount. You can see it properly. The strut insert's got a square notch in it, and then a nut. You'd actually punch this bit to make a V into it to lock it on the strut top, so it doesn't come loose. Like on the later stuff that'd be a nylock, but I just had to use a mechanical fixing to stop it coming loose. So I'll have to pin that over and undo the top nut. Take the top mount off, spring cup, pop the spring out, put a new spring in. Make sure I'm using spring clamps, or I've got a big mechanical hydraulic spring compressor. It just makes it far easier, because these things can, especially standard springs, you can really fire off. They shouldn't be too bad being a lowering spring, but we'll put it in the spring compressor anyway, just to be on the safe side. This is what I'm talking about, the spring compressor. This was kindly donated to me by Barker's Industrial. They've supplied me with a lot of my workshop equipment, so big thanks to them. Yeah, basically pump it up, takes the pressure off the spring, and you can release this. The spring isn't going to fire out. And just release the pressure, and that's it. One spring off. So there we have it. One new spring fitted. The old one removed. I didn't even need the spring compressor to put a new one on, because obviously new one's shorter. I've just tightened the new nut up, well, the original nut. And you can see, got a blunt chisel and pinned it over again to lock it up so it can't come loose. And that's it. Get the strut bolted back on the car and put it all back together. Onto the next side. I always use a trolley jack to refit the strut. I didn't need it to get it off. It's just a case of undo them 3 bolts and hold the strut with your other hand. But getting it back on can be a bit finicky, and the last thing I want to do is mark all this nice white paintwork. It's quite heavy, the strut, with a big cast iron hub on there. So you just put it on a trolley jack and just send it up slowly, line it up, get the bolts in. That's it, it's back on the car. Trolley jack out of the way. Start reassembling it. First job's going to be get this bottom ball joint back in. So you need to pry this down. So I put a big bar onto the anti-roll bar into the TCA. Trying to mark anything and just push down on it. Let it back up. That's it. Thin, no damage. Get the nut on that. Get a split pin in it. Fitting it for some new split pins just because they cost pennies. So the bottom ball joint back in. New split pin. Refit the caliper now. Done cut the cable tie. Hung it on the disc. This being a 2.8 vented disc, you notice it's actually got a spacer in the caliper there, because the 2.8 Capris run the same caliper but just with a spacer to make them wider to suit the vented discs. It's quite a popular upgrade on the escorts. But also, you can spot down there, you'll notice there's actually a distance between the caliper bracket and the strut. That's because on a 2.8 it runs this spacer between the caliper and the strut, which goes in, and then the bolt goes through the locking tab, through the strut casing, through this spacer washer, and then threads into the bottom of the strut. And then once it's all tight and torqued up, you pin these little tabs over to stop the bolts coming loose. So we'll get that bolted up, get this tightened up back into the strut, and then it's trackward end, and that's this side finished. So that's this side, driver's side, all back together. Put the castle trackward end back in, castle nut back on, call it castle nut because of the shape of the top of it. Lined it up, tightened it, new split pin, bottom ball joints back in, castle nut split pin, tighten the brake hose mount up, fitted the spacers like that, caliper spacers along with the locking tabs and bolt to tighten them. You just see that it's hard to see. Bent the locking tab back over so the caliper bolts won't come loose. So the only thing left to do is put the wheel on this side, and that's done. New spring. I won't bother filming the other side because it's pretty much identical process, so it'll be a little bit boring. What I'll do is I'll start filming when I do the lowering blocks on the back. Show you what's involved in that. Now, this is the joys of classic Fords. When I was working on this side, I noticed that steering rack gate is it's not actually split, but it's not far off in a few different places. Now this car has just come to me for 2-inch springs, 2-inch blocks, and because it's on 7-inch wheels and standard arches, I've recommended dropping a tyre size down to 175/50s. Now I'm not sure if we're going to need them yet. What I'll do, I bought the tyres anyway, but for Nankang comforts, but they are small and they will drop the car a lot, so in an ideal world on something like this I wouldn't really fit them, but if it catches, which a good chance it will, then it's going to have them. Something I've noticed now when I've started stripping the passenger side is, let me just pull the steering over, see that? Let me, light doesn't come on, okay. Well anyway, big split in the steering rack gaiter. Now I have already spoke to the customer because I spotted when I got it on the ramp that it's got the wrong engine mounts on it. It should have 50mm engine mounts and it looks like it's on 35s. This one's sagged and this one has been modified to space out to cover the extra 15mm missing every side. I'm not sure why they've done that, but it's been done. It's also sagging, you can see it's leaning down and it's causing the sump to touch on the steering rack, and then back here it looks like if it's not touching, it's very close to the engine cross member. So I already spoke to the customer and pointed this out to him, and he said just put it right, the car has to be right, so we'll be getting some new 50mm engine mounts. But now it also needs a rack gaiter or a pair. I might as well fit the pair of them. This one's gone, the other one's not far off. It's just the joys of working on classic Fords, I'm afraid. It's not nice giving customers bad news, but as he said, he wants the car right, so I have to address these issues because that isn't right. So with the front end all built back up, I will have to strip it down again to do the rack gaiters. Sadly, my local classic Ford supplier hasn't got any in stock, so I'll have to order them and get them fitted when you get in. It's onto the back. So the back is leaf springs. If you've got a mk2 Escort, then you'll know all about this, but if you're brand new to it, then you just have to bear with me while I explain it. Basically, you got leaf springs and your axle sits on top of leaf springs. It normally sits axle, spring cut, pad, spring, there's actually a pad missing, and then base plate, and then U-bolts clamp it all together. Your axle sits there. This one has got, if you can just see in there, an inch block, and then another alley block on top of that, so maybe 1.5 inches, I'm not sure until I get it off. But what this does is you put this in and it actually lowers the car 1.5 inches. So I've got some 2-inch blocks, so all I've got to do is undo the U-bolts, lift the axle off, pull these blocks out, put 2-inch blocks in, new U-bolts, torque them up to spec, and that's it. Don't even have to take the back wheels off to lower an Escort. Pretty straightforward. Like I say, there's base plate rubbers missing, because you can see that's not located very well. This is normally a base plate rubber with a round hole and the pin sits in there. So let's try and source some of them as well. Yeah, crack on, get the back end lowered, 2-inch. Shouldn't take long. So you have it, that's the block kit, shackles, U-bolts removed. That's your bump stop. That just sits on top of the axle and is clamped with the U-bolts. Come down, clamp everything together through the shocker base plate. And this is your lowering kit. Basically extended U-bolts, a set of lowering blocks. That's an inch block with then some sort of spacer. I'm not quite sure why they've done it like this. But yeah, that's all removed. Now we fit a 2-inch block kit, which will lift the axle up 2 inches and lower the car 2 inches.